saying a statement like that. And because I grew up Protestant, and then was baptized Catholic when I was about 10. And altar boy, knew how to recite all the prayers and the hymns. And then, one of your recent statements, it's very thought-provoking statements, is that, we are God. And the reason why that really stuck out for me is because there were many years where the more that I started getting into YouTube and Google and reading and philosophy, the story I was reading in the Old and the New Testament is it just sounded so weird and so wacky, especially in Revelations about monsters coming out of the sea with goats' heads and, having a battle with the angels. But even though I felt like I didn't have a religion, I truly believed, we even spoke of the idea of pantheism. Even though I didn't know I believed there was, whatever was out there, I believed there was a creator. And, yeah, so can you just, it was such a, eloquently spoken about the idea that we are God. Can you explain, a little bit that, what does that mean?
Have you, yeah, I will in a second. Have you had a direct experience of yourself as God? I'm just curious.
In this we've come to learn that, the present moment, when you're not thinking, it is absolutely that moment. And so, what you're asking me, it's like, do every morning when I sit down to meditate, do I experience it for little split seconds because there's just a constant stream of thought, and it's like, okay, attention back, back on the breath, back on the sensations. And I realize that in those moments, even though I don't feel it, it's like, okay, now I'm the moment that I'm no longer lost in thought, I'm experiencing something divine. Can't put my finger on it. I don't know what it is, but it's helping to explain what it isn't. All the other previous stuff that I used to think was, that spiritual, and it's helping me to just peel that away. It isn't that, it isn't that. So I'm still not what sure it is, but that moment when you're just not in thought, for me, that is that spirituality.
That's definitely pointing in the right direction. So yeah, God is a really controversial topic. God is probably the single most controversial topic, precisely because of all of its ramifications. It has enormous ramifications across politics and government and how we live our own lives and religion and science and spirituality. There's so many. It's just like a powder keg. Mm-hmm. It's a minefield, and it's really easy to talk about God in a way where you turn people off or you confuse them. And the biggest mistake that people make when they hear about God is that they think that God is a belief.
Yeah.
That's not what God is. God is an actual direct experience you can have. In fact, this very present experience you're having right now is literally God. God is just another word for the entire universe or all of reality. But then people who don't like the idea of God, and I was that way for a long time, for most of my life, up until maybe 2 or 3 years ago, I didn't like that word. Anytime somebody used that word, I would want to just tune that person out, not even read the book, because I was an atheist for most of my life, and so I was very kind of scientific and rational, and I thought that, well, God is just what is this? This is some religious fable, can't possibly be real. Until I started having my very deep psychedelic experiences, and I had some really powerful encounters with my own self, with God. God is the self. God is the entire universe. And so as I'm sitting here right now, I am the entire universe, and as you're sitting there, you are the entire universe. Yeah. So the problem, though, is that what's happened is that we have mistaken this thing that's going on here, and we've created a bunch of stories and ideas about it, how, well, I'm sitting in a room, and this room is like in a city, whatever city you're in, and that city is located on the surface of a planet, and this planet is situated in the universe, in the galaxy, and all of this. And so you have this whole conceptual scheme which explains to you this very present moment that you have. And so what God realization is the removing of all that conceptual context and story and narrative, such that you even remove the story of there being a biological creature who you think you are, a human who was born to your mother and to your father and all this, even that gets stripped away, such that you're only left with the the very raw present experience. And this very raw present experience, it gets so radically recontextualized or reinterpreted, or actually, more correctly, it gets all the interpretations get removed. Yeah. And so when all those interpretations are removed, you look at your hands and you realize, oh my God, these are the hands of God. These thoughts, this mind is the mind of God, and everything that I'm looking at, it's all God. This is what God is. It's all of reality. It's all unified and non-dual. So really, it's the removing of all
dissolving the ego. It's the ultimate ego, right?
Yeah. Because the ego is precisely the thing that prevents you from realizing that all that this stuff is here is God, because you're kind of limiting it just to yourself. It's like, no, this isn't God. This is my life. It's like, Leo, how could this be God when this is my life? Right. Well, you have to get rid of those ideas that this is your life, and getting rid of that idea that this is your life is getting rid of the ego, which is what mindfulness is about ultimately.